Belichick won 296 games with the Patriots, in addition to 37 wins in 5 seasons as the Browns head coach prior to his time in New England. That leaves Belichick with 333 wins entering next season, 15 shy of breaking Don Shula's record for the most wins by a head coach in NFL history. Feels like he might be able to break that record if he continues on, which is what we expect. So, Adam, as we spin this forward, what do we know about what Belichick plans to do next?
Well, Laura, you heard today Bill Belichick look towards the future, and you heard Robert Kraft say that he'll always root for Bill Belichick except when he's going up against the Patriots. So there was a sense and an implication from both men today that Bill Belichick will continue coaching. And so now we begin to figure out where could you conceivably place him. Aside from the Patriots, there are 7 other teams right now with head coaching vacancies. There's the list. But I think it's a mistake to look at that list and to try to slot Bill Belichick in. Maybe he fits in with one of those teams. I would think that Atlanta, amongst others, might have some interest. But I think what you do is you look at the rest of the league, the teams not in the playoffs and teams in the playoffs. And you begin to wonder, when owners wake up this morning and hear the news that Bill Belichick is out in New England, are they asking themselves, does Bill Belichick represent an upgrade over the coach that currently is in charge of their respective franchise? That is the question that I think every owner is asking himself, just like when Tom Brady became a free agent, it was up to every franchise to ask themselves whether Tom Brady represented an upgrade over the quarterback they had. So we look at the 7 vacancies and try to figure out where Bill fits, but it's possible he could fit with any team that decides that Bill Belichick would be a coaching upgrade.
You know what? I hear that, Adam. But haven't we seen this before with an all-time great or the all-time greatest that left New England? I mean, when Tom Brady hit the market, we figured there would be all of these places. You remember Tom Brady even said, wait, you going to keep dude over me? And so Bill Belichick, even though we've watched him be the greatest of all time for 2 decades, there was the last 3 or 4 years. So, excuse me, I'm going to look at teams that have head coaching vacancies. And I know people are talking about Atlanta. You're talking about the Commanders. The one thing I haven't seen Bill Belichick do is develop a quarterback not named Tom Brady, not inspired by greatness. But what I do know is the Los Angeles Chargers ain't got a dude you got to give no talent to. The Los Angeles Chargers got a dude that can throw a football through a keyhole. So you know going in there, you're going to be able to create offense with him if you get the right coordinator. And now defensively, you can be a team that's a total upgrade from where Brandon Staley had the Chargers last year.
I'm not sure if every franchise is going to go after him, but the ones that go after him, he's going to be interviewing them. They ain't going to be interviewing him, and that's what makes this situation dynamic. He's the one that's going to have to go into that organization and see where they are to determine if he wants to be a part of trying to either build or if they have enough standard in place that he thinks he can come in and impart his wisdom and knowledge on. That is what, to me, makes this a unique coaching change for anybody that goes after Bill Belichick. It is going to be completely different. And, Schefter, you talked earlier about the New England Patriots being in some uncharted territory as far as having to hire a coach and doing this thing a different way with the rules change with Rooney Rule and how you have to go about hiring a coach. And Bill Belichick is not going to be in uncharted water. He's going to know exactly what he wants to do when he goes to the next franchise, which is why I think this makes it unique, but you get that afforded to you when you are the GOAT of any entity. You are doing the interviewing as opposed to other people.
I do not see him going to an AFC football team out of respect for New England. Now, the 2 playoff teams that I could see him going to would be Dallas and Philadelphia. I think both those teams would have to lose this weekend in kind of disastrous forms for either to move on from their head coach. But if that did happen, those are the 2 teams, at least playoff-wise, that I could see Coach Belichick going to. I just don't see AFC because of the ties he has to New England and not wanting to potentially see them in an AFC championship game to potentially go to the Super Bowl. I think Atlanta, I think Washington do make sense. And I also don't know if he's going to chase a quarterback. Like, he built the greatest dynasty ever with the 6th rounder. So I don't know if, like, the chasing a quarterback is more important than the health of a roster. I think as much as he's struggled without a high-end quarterback, really the struggles were because of the depleted talent across the roster 1 through 53.
Dan, I think Bill Belichick wouldn't care if he landed in the AFC, the NFC, the FCC, whatever it may be. You come up with
Thank you, Adam.
He would go coach
me too.
whichever good organization is. He would go coach. I think he would go coach in the AFC East if something opened up and it was the right opportunity, and go up against New England.
Man,
he doesn't care what conference it is.
He's never backed down.
Say it again.
Right?
Say it again, Adam. Exactly.
I'll say it again. Say it again, RC. Any opportunity that's attractive, as long as he doesn't have to go up against Dan Orlovsky playing quarterback, is going to be something that interests Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's a good point.
As long as there is a quarterback in place, he doesn't care what conference it's in.
I got something to
He
say.
doesn't care if it's the WAC conference or the MAC conference.
The good thing is Dan is not in either the AFC or the NFC, so it's fine because the best numbers are there. Go ahead, Marcus.
Dan, use your correlation, all right? Because I hear you, and I'm with Schefter and RC on this. Remember, Nick Saban left and went to Miami and came back to Alabama after coaching at LSU. These dudes are not too much different when it comes to situations and where they believe they can win at. And I think we all in agreement that Justin Herbert is a big incentive to go coach somewhere.
Go ahead, RC.
Hey, guys. People like Bill Belichick, they don't create work friends. Ain't no work friends for Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick ain't worried about, I only want to see you in the Super Bowl. Bill Belichick is worried about how can I get to another Super Bowl. And if that's in the AFC, the NFC, the AFL, the IFL, he's going to be willing to do that. But what's most important for him is understanding that he doesn't have a lot of time. And he wants to be in a place that desires him so much, he gets that full control again. And that's a place like a Los Angeles. And if he has to beat the Patriots on his way, he ain't tripping about being in the place, winning a game where he's going to be in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I get your guys' point, and I can appreciate
if we're going to
that.
give him the Los Angeles job. Yeah. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead, Dan.
I can appreciate that. I think a little bit my vantage point was also Mr. Kraft, like the conversations that they had, and both of them being very outspoken, that was amicable. Again, does Mr. Kraft want Bill Belichick coming back to Foxborough? I don't know. I just think that the way that Tom was very clear, I wanted to get out of the AFC. Does Coach Belichick have that same vantage point, or does Mr. Kraft say, hey, you can go, but I don't want you in the conference?
Adam, really fast, I just want to ask, do you think it's important for Belichick, we talked about him interviewing some of these teams, to have a lot of control, the GM and the head coach type package like he had in New England?
You can't be the GM.
No, I think he's going to want to go to a situation where he feels like he can win, whether he has some control or voice in the front office or not. I think he's just going to want to go to a good, comfortable situation, whatever and wherever that is, whatever conference it is. I know Dan's in the way of his feelings. He thinks that feelings here are important. No, he wants to win.
So one of those players that Belichick got the most out of was Tom Brady, a 6th-round pick back in 2000, which was Belichick's first season as the Patriots head coach. Belichick and Brady won 249 games together. That's 105 more wins than any other head coach quarterback duo in NFL history. Owner Robert Kraft was asked what led to the ultimate decision to part ways with Belichick.
The last 3 years have been pretty tough. And I know for our dedicated fans and myself, and, in life, I just learned things happen. And our family is the custodian of this asset, the New England Patriots. And we know how important it is to the psyche of the community. And what's gone on here the last 3-4 years isn't what we want. So we have a responsibility to do what we can to fix it to the best of our ability.
We'll see what that fix looks like. And Kraft clearly thought it was time for a change. Dan, do you think Belichick's style will translate in a new organization?
Oh, absolutely. I think Coach Belichick is still a Super Bowl winning coach, specifically defensively. If you watch the New England Patriots this year, they don't end up in this situation because they can't play defense or they're not well coached. They end up in this situation for one of two reasons. One, and Mina pointed this out, they have not signed a player that they have drafted in the first, second, or third round to a second contract since 2013. So they're in this situation because of a lack of talent. And two, they're in their situation because of lack of offensive performance. He can still absolutely coach. He can coach a Super Bowl caliber and winning organization. I don't think he can general manage a Super Bowl caliber and winning organization.
Yeah. I think that's the point, Dan. Hire a GM and let Bill Belichick completely focus, well, put more of his attention into coaching the football team. I mean, I'm sure he'll work in unison because he has a particular type of player that he likes to bring in the organization, which has not worked out for him offensively. But defensively, to your point, he still had a tremendous amount of success, and it was a team formidable enough on that side of the ball to make you at least feel like they had a chance in games. But here's the point. Like Bill Belichick right now, like we were talking about earlier, has an opportunity to pick where he wants to go once he finds out that the interest is there. And I think it's going to re-energize him. I got killed for saying this, but I was like, the time is just up in New England. It felt stale. It felt stagnant. I'm sure that's how they felt. Robert Kraft alluded to that while he was talking about that. And sometimes a new scenery, just like for players, can re-energize coaches as well and make them kind of evaluate themselves and go back to the drawing board and see if they need to change anything.
You know what else matters as much, too, is who's going with him. Who would be the offensive coach going with him? Is he going to get Josh McDaniels as his offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien? I think that's a huge part of this equation as well.
Those connections are strong, and there's many of them. All right, tying the two biggest news stories of the last 24 hours, Adam Schefter tweeted this comparison today. Nick Saban with 9 SEC titles and 6 national championships. Bill Belichick with 9 Super Bowl appearances and 6 titles. RC and Marcus both played for Saban and against Belichick. RC, let's take a minute to talk Saban. What kind of impact did he have on you?
Oh, I thought Coach Saban changed the trajectory of my career and my life. Coach Saban, when he met me the first time, I thought I was the best player on the entire defense. And he told me all the ways I could be better and that if I bought into those ways, I could be a guy that played on the next level. In my senior year, when I come in as a preseason All-American, preseason first team All-SEC, and I'm not playing well, he pulls me aside and I unload on him why I felt like there was so much pressure to play well, that I wanted to live up to all the hype, that I wanted to be a guy that played on Sundays. And he told me that if I just believed in myself, if I had done everything I did to get to that point, that I will. And he said, I've coached more guys who get drafted late that play for over a decade in the league. And you had all the intangibles to do that if you just believe in you like I believe in you. And I think Coach Saban would challenge you, and those challenges was because he thought you could be better. And he wasn't going to stop until you were everything you were supposed to be. He's a true leader of young men.
Yeah, to RZ's point, trust. Like trust, man. I switched from tight end to defensive end, had a hard time wrapping my head around that. And eventually I had to determine if I was going to trust Coach Saban and his knowledge, not only about this game, but the trajectory of a career. And I think that's what pretty much sums it up. The legacy of a coach is always tied directly to their players, and not only how they do on the field, but how they handle adversity. And you can see that stuff manifest for the rest of their lives. He told me, don't make a 4-year decision, make a 40-year decision. And I'm sure RC would agree. We are still reaping the benefits from having an opportunity to work alongside and be tutored and mentored by Coach Nick Saban.
That's well said, you guys. When we think about what we're dealing with right now, the last 24 hours, sports looks a lot different. Two of the greatest of all time have retired from where they were before, and we'll see what they do next. But what an interesting world we're in now in this business to see how it all ends up shaking out. It's been a pleasure to be with you guys today. It's been a pleasure to have all of you at home watching along with us.